Okay, let's try this again. Guys, it's Saturday night. It's 8 o'clock. And yeah, so I thought we'd stop in, spend an hour with you guys and see what's going on, talk about some Camaros, talk about a few other things here. Got a new poster. We're going to get to that in a bit. And yeah, so we will wait for everybody to start coming in. And so we're going to go over some inventory, leftover Camaros. I know some of you said that you're on the fence about buying one. We're going to help you with that. We're going to go over some other news, some GM recalls, some collaborations with Hyundai, and a whole pile more. So, yeah, I got to fix my office. I still have a lot of my dad's stuff up here that I got to rearrange in that. And so I'm going to shift this around because it's a century home. And as you can see with the ceilings, I have a 5-foot knee wall in these upstairs rooms, being an older house, and it doesn't give you a lot of flat wall space to hang stuff. So I got to reorganize. I'm going to put sort of my desk in a different location in this room once I get it cleaned up, and I'm going to get that poster hung properly. I want to thank Scott Settlemeyer and Andrew at Camaro Cave. I won it from Scott on Andrew's show, and as most of you know, I'm a huge 5th Gen fan. So when this poster come up, I don't usually take advantage in somebody else's live streams because it's for you guys. It's not, guys like Andrew and I and the other Andrew and Jim, we do this for you guys, right? So I want to try and leave it for you guys, but this come up and something from Scott, as you know, is just sometimes too good to pass up. So I want to thank Scott for that. Scott and I were chatting last week, and I told him that I was going to send him an updated shirt like this and a few other goodies that he probably got at one time. We're going to send him another one. I still got some of the older stuff, and I want to transition to the new logo with CCFBG Garage. So what's everybody up to tonight? Quick plug for the channel. I'm just going to put this up. Share screen. If you guys haven't been here, this is the CCFBG Garage Amazon influencers page. We get a small commission from anything we sell off of it. I'm constantly trying to grow the page for every generation. There's some 4th Gen stuff in here. I think these are for 3rd Gen. These are 6th Gen LED blacked out taillights. These are 3rd Gens. These are retrofit. These are retrofit LED lights for the H4 housings. And then some LED old retro style bulbs that work better in the older housings. These are the headlights. I had them in a 91. Fantastic. And made the car look fantastic. So I'll put the link in the description if you guys want to pick something up off there. It truly appreciate it. We don't make a ton of money from it, but it just goes to help support the channel. So am I talking to myself? I see 4 people watching, but I don't see any comments. So am I in the right section? I do a lot of these, and I probably should do more of them, but I can create a fancy thumbnail, but my wife does a lot of lives. I don't with her channel. I don't do many with this. Hey, G7. Okay, good. I'm not talking to myself. Cool. So I should probably freshen up on this. I don't, I consider myself a pretty techie guy, but we're actually going to I think we're going to move to a new streaming service. Hey, what's up? Where's the dollar? Thanks for joining us. I think we're going to. Hey, Gloria. We're going to get to Gloria in a bit. I started working on the subscriber spotlight videos for you guys, and Gloria's the first one. We did a brief short of her cold start. Where was I? Oh, I think we're going to move to a new streaming service. I don't know. StreamYard works well, but their prices have kind of gone through the roof. I think we pay about $150 a year. That's going to go to over $200, almost $300. It almost doubled, and it's crazy. So, I don't use it a lot for me, but my wife uses it almost weekly for her stuff. So, it's not cheap running a channel. I mean, not that it matters, because that's the cost of doing business, but we spend about $150 something for this, and then we spend, I think it's about another $150 to make all the thumbnails and the videos, and I am on Canva right now, but I think we're going to move to Adobe, because even Canva I've had a lot of problems with, and they give you some half-ass answer as to what's going on. I found Adobe works really well, and their prices are going up too, so it must be a thing. But like I mentioned, we're going to do the subscriber spotlights. I'm working on the thumbnail. I have the video somewhat put together, but it's working on some other stuff at the same time. Work's been crazy. I was going to do a video today, and I was going to do a video yesterday and today, and I thought, you know what, let's do a live, because I am up to my eyeballs in the next 2 weeks at work, and we'll be putting a lot of in-depth stuff out. So I thought I would do this for you guys, and it's just another way to connect with you guys and let you know that I'm listening, and if you guys want to talk about stuff, whatever, that's what I'm here for. So, Camaro inventory. Let me see if I can share this one. Let's see. So for those who are still on the fence about Camaros, okay, you guys can see that. Okay, good. There are lots of LT cars out there. Lots. If I had to add them up, I'd say there's 61, 35, and 24. So what is that? 96, about 117 cars, I guess. Now, they don't take into effect the in transits. There's one here in transit that obviously they're not getting. But if somebody wants an LT car, they got lots of options. This was based on Kansas City, which is kind of central in the U.S., 2,000 miles across the board. So, and then on the V8 side, I want to say there's 17. Those two LT one, we know those L ones aren't there. So there's 25 cars. It's less than 25. We know this 2SS 1LE. We know it's sold, so it's not there. There's 20. What's that? 24. I think there's some in transit in here. I'm shocked this car is still here. This is. No, it doesn't. We checked this out in the last video. They claim it's still there. It's Riverside Blue. I think it's an automatic. We got Recaro seats, magnetic ride. I don't know if it's a if it's an automatic, but I'm shocked it's still there. Um, so I can put the link in the description as well. And oh, you like the Z28 comparison? Yeah, thank you. I had a lot of fun doing this. I should probably do more of them because they seem to do well. And I will share something with you that if you're ever thinking about getting into YouTube and you are looking for new stress in your life, then hey, it's a great avenue to do. But I was a little shocked to learn that I think it's 10% or 30% of videos get less than sorry, 30% of all videos are above 1,000 views and more, which is pretty amazing. When I look at some of my videos, and you guys have been fantastic on the last two. I mean, not the prior one, but the one before that, the lot rot one, it got 3,000 views, and I'll said before, I was ready to redo that video because I wasn't really thrilled with it. Or maybe that was the other one. I don't know. Anyways, you guys are phenomenal with the support, and I really appreciate it. But I should do more of those comparison videos because I had a lot of fun with it. I learned a little bit if you can learn something new every day, it is great to learn something new. And I learned a lot of things with that video just doing that and doing the comparison of how close in some ways the cars were and some how far apart they were. And speaking of cars, I don't know if you guys, I can try and pull this up. So just bear with me here 1 second. If you guys, I don't know if you guys seen this, but there was a GM and Hyundai signed a memorandum of understanding to explore collaboration in vehicle supply chain and clean energy technologies. And this is where I'm going to go on a bit of a rant, and I'm also going to defend a little bit of Hyundai. I used to be a big Hyundai fan. We've owned a couple Hyundais back when they were built in Korea, and some of them still are built in South Korea, but I don't think many of them now. A lot of them are built in the U.S. And I was a huge fan of Hyundai, great daily driver car. And I seen a comment the other day about, great, now we're going to have cars that are going to have crappy motors and crappy transmissions. Well, if you follow some of the car scene stuff, but a lot of people having problems with their Hyundai engines. They have a great warranty. And you hear about all the horror stories about Hyundai, didn't back some of them. And, you gotta read both sides. You gotta hear both sides of the story, because I'm sure there's always two sides to the story, first of all, right? But you hear a lot that say, hey, the motor blew my Hyundai, and Hyundai came to the table, put a new motor in it. And then they've had recalls where they've done that. So, I think it's good. GM, I've said for a while now, GM does not build cars for their customers the way they used to. I can remember growing up, my grandfather had a 87 S10, bare bones, not even a radio in this thing, and it was $7,000 out the door. And yes, $7,000 was a lot of money at the time, but it was a good economical little pickup truck that he could afford. And you know what? He drove it into the ground, flipped it once, and they fixed it. And the thing with the Malibus, I mean, like it or love it or not, The Malibus really didn't do well. They were supported by rental car companies and fleets and whatnot. That's what inflated their numbers. But that was the last really the last real affordable car that GM made. And they don't make cars, for the customers anymore. They make cars for their customers, but they focus more on the high end ones, not the day-to-day affordable ones. And everybody needs affordable cars. Part of the reason why I won't sell our Sonic. Our Sonic's, I guess it's 11 years old now. We bought it brand new. It's got about 60,000 miles on it. It sits in the garage, and I should be driving it more because I take my truck for work, and as much as I love my truck because it's got all the stuff in it, the car's a lot cheaper. This Sonic gets 35 miles a gallon. I think we paid $21,000 for it. We were looking for a used car after we sold our black Hyundai, and we were looking for a used car, and we went to the dealer, and they said, well, you can do this, but the interest rate's higher on that. Why don't you buy this car, same amount of dollars, $20,000-ish, and you can get into it brand new and build it any way you want. So I basically bought this car. We test drove a sedan, we test drove a hatchback and bought a sedan. And great car. 35 miles a gallon. GM tried it with some Sparks, but I think they expected the Spark to do better. But even the Spark got out of hand. I mean, the Sparks were going for basically what those Sonics were going for. And, so today, GM has left this market wide open for Toyota, Nissan, Hyundai, Volkswagen. I'm just talking about the mainstream stuff, right? Nissan, Mazda. I don't know if Mazda makes a really affordable car, but Nissan, Toyota, Honda, Hyundai kind of come to mind, right? Yeah, 100%. But Hyundai still makes a decent entry level car, and that's I don't know. I don't know how GM lost their way. I really don't. It's crazy how things have changed. And I get we all like our trucks and our SUVs. I'm not taking away from that, but I don't understand why GM is not listening to their customers or their customers' needs, and just ignoring their customers' needs and not having an entry level car. It baffles my mind for sure. So there's that. I don't know. I didn't really want to get into this, but I will touch on it a little bit. And I didn't open a page for it. I probably should. So apparently Congress has appealed the EPA something. Give me 1 sec. Let me pull it up. I try not to get into politics on the channel because we're never all going to agree, and I try to stay away from that. But I thought this was interesting about the EPA. See if I can find it. I can't find it. Anyways, seen something on another channel today that Congress is trying to appeal the EPA standard rating or something. And what does that mean for the car community? Well, if it gets approved and it gets past the president's desk, and that's where things kind of get a little shaky because of politics and what side you're on. But we're not talking sides today. We're just talking about how that affects the car community. If the EPA standards can be reduced a little bit, everybody says, cars pollute. Yes, they do. But Not a lot of people want electric cars, and I believe electric cars have their place. I have considered briefly but replacing the Sonic with an electric car because we live in a small town. I could spend months going back and forth to work and there and I, for dollars a week to charge it. But I believe electric cars have their place, but don't force it down consumers' throats, right? They say that yes, cars pollute, and they do. There are way bigger things that pollute more than cars, and they don't seem to focus on that. My second point is GM and others have had to buy CAFLA credits for years when they still had the Camaro and that, and they were buying credits to keep certain V8 models going. And along with Ford and everybody else, they have to, if you look at Ford, they reduce the allocation to dealers on how many V8s those dealers can buy. They've been pushing these 3.5s and 2.7s and all that other stuff. And it's crazy. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I'm just going to catch up with some comments here. The end of the rear wheel cars that people can afford. Yes, I don't know. Are we referring to the Camaro-Goria? Because Malibu, when I was talking about the my Malibu rant, Malibu's front wheel drive car, and anyways, much higher profit margin with 100,000 kilometers, so 100,000 Corvettes for GM. I agree. The funny part about this, and I'll just put this back up here for a second, and I find it very funny that it says it in here, is that two leading global OEM will review opportunities, combined source and battery raw materials. Yes, framework, okay. Something about, GM and Hyundai look for ways to leverage the complementary scale and strength to reduce costs and bring a wider range of vehicles and technologies to their customers faster. That's all bullshit mumbo jumbo stuff, in my opinion. Okay. Back in the day, if we could buy it cheaper, raw materials, whatever, we would sell it to our customers cheaper. Today, I could be wrong, but it's how I feel. Today, if you can buy this cup cheaper and keep your margins high, that's what most companies doing today. They don't pass on the savings. They pass on that much savings. And so that's a bullshit, fluffy answer, in my opinion, right? 1965, 1 million full-size Chevys were sold volume back in the day. That is crazy. Even, you think of the 80s and the 90s, right? They made some of the best pickup trucks. You still see them on the OBS trucks. A friend of mine's got a step side, and the thing gets attention at every car show he goes to, and it is bone stock. All right. G7 says exactly, don't cram the electric stuff down our throat. Hybrid technology should bridge the gap. I agree. And I don't know why GM kind of got away from the hybrid stuff, because they didn't sell a ton of them, but their hybrid Tahoes and that actually did pretty well. And they had 6-liter motors in it. And the thing with the hybrid is, if that battery fails or whatever, it doesn't render that car or truck useless. You can still drive the truck. It's just going to go through more fuel. And I don't know why they went this drastic change from internal combustion to electric. And I think a lot of that has to do with some of the laws that came into effect. And again, I'm not going to go into that, but I just don't understand why, Toyota sells a ton of hybrid stuff and they do it well. So why would you not Why would you not kind of follow the, that lead? And again, I get that, there's a place for electric vehicles, right? As a consumer, if you or I or the next person want to go buy an electric car, then so be it. But the government shouldn't force it down your throat and say, okay, you have till 2030 to get rid of your oil burning shit box, if you will, and go buy an electric car. That's not right. I think there should be choice. As a consumer, we vote with our wallets, right? Even in Malibu, I think I don't know. I really don't know why the Malibu didn't do. I mean, the stats are there to prove that people don't buy cars, but yet they want them. So I don't understand why that Malibu didn't do very well. I don't know if it was the motor that kind of it had a tiny 1.5 motor in it, turbocharged, that kind of threw a lot of people off. And I don't know. I mean, there are smarter people, way smarter than I am, that have made the decision that 1.5 turbo is more fuel efficient and more emission compliant than the old 2 liters were. And I don't get it. Not a bad car, kind of I guess it would be a subcompact. It would be compact, not subcompact. It'd be compact or midsize. It was falling under one of those categories, but not a bad looking car. I don't know. So many things happen today that kind of leave a bad taste in everybody's mouth. And, I think that, like, for instance, the Blazer. The Blazer is a great SUV or a midsize SUV, but it gets a bad rap because it's built in Mexico. And I would say I will never buy another vehicle built in Mexico. Well, I bought a vehicle that was made in Mexico, but I didn't buy it brand new. My Avalanche was made in Mexico, and it was a pretty good truck. But you hear all the horror stories today about, the pickup trucks that are made in Mexico. And for those that don't know, the pickup trucks are built in 3 plants. They're built in Oshawa, Ontario, Canada. They're built in the U.S. and they're built in Mexico. And the VINs, if it starts with a 1, it's built in the U.S. If it starts with a 2, it's built in Canada. And if it starts with a 3, it's built in Mexico. Hey, David. The 3 VIN trucks built in Mexico have really sloppy rear ends in them. The tolerances are a lot different than, for some reason, than the U.S. and the Canadian plants. And they have premature bearing wear, and so they get a lot of bad rap because GM's moving stuff down to Mexico and pulling it away from American workers, and that's never cool, right? So, but yet that Blazer is a pretty decent truck or SUV, but yet it's a bad rap because it's built in Mexico. So, it's funny. I love the square bodies and the OBSs and that. It's funny. We used to drive the crap out of those things and drive them into the ground. And now, 10 years ago, you would get barely anything for is worth minimum $5,000, minimum all day long, $5,000. Like, you could sell a almost piece of junk OBS or square body, especially a square body, for a minimum $5,000. It is crazy what the prices on those things and the demand for those things are. And another thing that I don't get is the cat eye trucks. That's that awkward 02, 01. OBS is 15 to 20. I'm thinking OBS like, I don't know, 88 to 99. on the Chevy side, and I forget what the OBS is on the Ford side. It's 90s and all that. That's what I consider OBS. But where was I? The Cat Eye, I think 01 to 04 on the Chevy side. On the diesels, crazy money. It's crazy what they want for Cat Eye trucks now. No, you're probably right. D7, it doesn't, not compared to what we're all, when everybody thinks Blazer, everybody thinks K5 Blazer, and but we haven't seen a K5 Blazer in 40 years. Some of you may not even been around the last time K5 Blazer was on this planet brand new. They went to more mid-size, I forget when, in the 90s. 91 was the last year of the K5 Blazer full size. Okay, there you go. That's what we all think, is the Blazer name. And yeah, you're right. But the Blazer has shrunk, in the late 90s. And they weren't a bad car, I guess. They might be better now, in my opinion, than they were in the 90s. They're a little wider and they got a little more aggressive look. But yeah, so yeah. It's funny because I was watching another channel and I didn't know this, that they made an S10 Dakota. And I've owned a Dodge Dakota, but it was a Dakota I guess it was a trim or something on the S10 4x4s or S15, one of them. Anyways, in the late 80s. Just weird names that I didn't know about. Only Stellantis is more GM willing to shaft Canadian American auto workers. Yeah, Stellantis is in a world of hurt right now. I follow another channel called TK's Garage, and he covers a lot of Dodge stuff. And Stellantis is in a world of hurt right now. I mean, I thought people hate Mary Barra. This guy's got Mary Barra beat by a landslide. I mean, first, I don't know if Tim resigned because of Carlos or if he left on his own. But, yes, Tim put out the statement saying that we're not doing any more challengers, but did that come from the board and all that? And now they're laying workers off. And I mean, everybody's kind of doing it. GM's doing it too. GM is laid off 800 employees in the plant where those Malibus are made, so they can retool, I guess, for the new Bolt. I don't know. They yeah, I don't know. They're not doing good. Stellantis is screwed. They stopped Jeep production on the Grand Wagoneer Cherokee. Well, that's because nobody's buying $100,000 Grand Wagoneers. Who could afford $110,000? Basically, I don't know. Are they considered a mid-size SUV, or I guess they're a full size? But who could afford $110,000 Grand Wagoneer? Like it's stupid. It is really stupid what some of the decisions they've made. Yeah, 100K, tons of issues, 100%. So yeah, it's a really weird spot right now that the auto market is in. Yeah, I believe it. I watch a lot of the car guy videos that cover that kind of stuff, including not so much Brandon, because Brandon from Car Questions Answered does more used stuff, but I watch some of the new guys, and yeah, lots of 23 still on lots. It is very crazy, but they're not alone. I would say Stellantis probably leads that category 100%. But as you can see, I mean, I bet you if I went into this Chevrolet thing, I bet you I could find, let me just pull this up. I bet you, moving away from Camaros, I bet you, let's see what we can see here. There's 1,648 2023 cars and trucks sitting on lots. Now, we don't know how accurate this is, but this is a combination of everything. This is Trailblazers. This is Traverse, Colorados, full-size trucks, some Malibus, like 26,697. There's, you want a decent affordable car. There you go. 26 grand. It's, below the average, right? It's got aluminum wheels, it's nice, right? It's decent. 1.5 turbo. Yeah. That's the big thing here. I think this is the big thing that kills it for this car. CVT transmission. It doesn't have the traditional 6-speed in it. I think that is what kills this, the appeal to some people for this car. But let's see what else we got here. Well, 2023 Z06. Well, available now. 167,000. Perfect. Yeah. This is based out of Kansas City, but crazy. But that's the market we're in right now, right? Yeah. So my local dealer, Tom Smith, who is always good with us, helping us out with stuff. They have 2 lots full of trucks. The Ford dealer has 2.5 lots of full trucks. It is absolutely crazy what's going on. Like they just can't sell them. Stellantis, Dodge, same way. They got 2 lots of trucks. A lot of it is what right? They're piling up because they're not selling. So we are starting to see. I don't know what you guys are seeing, but if you are, let me know in the comments. We are starting to see some 0% 72-month financing, and I bought my Sonic on 0% 72 months. And people say, "Well, why don't you pay it off?" I'm like, "Why would I pay it off? It's not my money. I don't care. It's not cost me anything to carry it 7 years." And I could have paid it off. But we're starting to see the difference is that, 0% 72 months on 21,000 is peanuts. 0% 72 months on, I think the average truck up here is 70,000. 70,000 for a Silverado. For a full-size pickup. So, no, you know what, Dave? I don't blame you. First of all, I don't know how much you guys pay attention, but so I got my father's truck when he passed, and my father's truck has 80,000 miles on it. It's 2015. It's in really good shape, and I don't have any payments on it. So why would I trade it in? And what am I going to get? I trade it in. I'm going to go into debt for $30,000 when there's nothing wrong with the truck I have. We bought that truck in 2017. It was 2 years old, just out of warranty on bumper warranty, but we paid 35 grand for it. It was a $65,000 truck 2 years prior. In the height of the pandemic, we were offered 45,000 for it. I could probably still get 30. I can make more money in the US on it than I can up here. It's still worth about 30 grand. There's nothing wrong with it. It's barely broken in with 80,000 miles. So why am I going to get rid of it? Yeah, that's a good point. I guess, yeah. I mean, it's a gamble you have to take, right? Um, not a lot of people are gonna be able to afford to go out and pay that loan off in 7 years, but a lot of people don't keep them for 7 years either. I think the average ownership now is 3 years, and then they get rid of them. So does it matter? Um, you know, I don't know. Looking Ford dealer 10,000 off on pickups. Yeah, we're seeing some of that up here, but you're seeing more of that in the U.S. Like I said, the incentives are starting to roll, and but they're not rolling on like the tracks and the Trailblazers and those are the two most, I guess, economical vehicles that GM makes right now. No 0% on those, and no incentives on those because they don't really need to. They're starting to slow down a little bit now, which kind of makes no sense because the interest rates are starting to drop, but that probably is going to change. But they've never had to because they've never stayed on lots long enough, right? So, um, yeah, well, you just got to be smart about it. I would say that if you don't need a car right now, like I answered somebody's comment the other day, they said they were looking for a Z01 or a V6 daily driver, and I said, you know what? If you don't need to do it right now, if you don't need to pull the pin right now, don't do it. I would wait a month or two in that November till February market is where you're going to find some deals because that November to February market is when things are really going to slow down. And after February, there's a tax, which is tax time, and tax time, prices go up during tax time. It's a proven stat. But that November to February slot is where you'll see the best deal. When I bought my 2010, I bought it in just before tax time and got a really good deal on it. So that's always kind of been the thing. Yeah, you know what? That truck's still. Are we talking about a truck G7 or a car? Anyways, it doesn't matter. I think we're talking about your. I think we're talking about your one of your cars. 32 new has 55,000 miles. It's barely broken in. Barely broken in. 55,000 miles is nothing on anything. So, yeah, 100%. Oh, Silverado. Okay, I thought that's what you meant, but I wasn't following along here. So, 55,000 for Silverado is nothing. The one thing that I would recommend on that Silverado is transmission service. Keep up on your transmission service. I have a friend who has a 17 and had to replace his tranny last year. And I don't know. It might have 80,000 miles on it, 90,000 miles, and cost them, I want to say $5,000. So stay on your service. I got to do the service on the F-150. It's never been done yet, and I got about 8,000 on it, and I do have it checked. Ford, there's no dipstick. You can buy the dipstick kit for the F-150s, but there's no dipstick in it, so you have to have it checked when it's there, or you can check it yourself. But it's easier for them to check it. They have it up on a hoist. I don't have it at the hoist of the house here, so. I got old cars, 2004, 19, 11 is the newest. You know what? Nothing wrong with that. Before I got my dad's truck, my Avalanche was it was an 07. It had 200 60,000 miles on it with the original motor transmission in it. And I bought it used, but I knew somebody locally in town owned it and had really taken care of it, had all the service reports, and I got it for a steal. And I drove it for 5 years and basically got my money back after 5 years. So, but ideally, some would say, those are the better years to own a car because they didn't feel as planned obsolescence, if you will, as today's kind of feel. So the F-150 is a 2015 with the Coyote motor in it. And my father was never a big turbo fan like me, unless, turbos are great in 8s, but, don't put them in a small displacement motor. And so he wanted a V8, and that's what he bought himself as a retirement present. So I'm kind of carrying on their tradition, keeping her nice and clean and looking after her. But yeah, it's, what, I haven't been a Ford fan for a long time, but I will tell you that truck, the quality is phenomenal. It's a pickup truck, so it's going to ride rough, but it does have a fairly comfortable ride for a pickup truck. And it doesn't burn any oil. It's great on fuel. I get about almost 700 miles to a tank. It's got a big 36-gallon tank in it. So, wrong one. The 2010 with 100,000 miles, it's nothing. The only thing you got to worry about on the V6 is the timing change. I looked at a 2010 that had, 180,000 miles on it. It was going to go cheap. And I was worried about that they couldn't provide maintenance, and there was no maintenance stuff, documentation. So that's the big thing you got to worry about on the V6 cars is the timing change. And the maintenance hasn't been, if it doesn't maintain in the direct injection, the direct injection can be a mess, but 100,000 is nothing. It's funny that I've always been a GM fan, and I've said this for a long time, and I get a little bit of the F-150, even the F-150s have problems. I've had some problems with this one, but nothing major, okay? Ford, when it comes to trucks, has handed Chevy their ass on a silver platter. When it comes to the cars, Chevy's got Ford beat. You cannot compare if you look at my 2015 versus a Chevy 2015 Silverado and compare the options, the interior on a higher trim level truck are not even close. They're not even close. The interiors are so much better in a Ford versus a GM. The performance of that motor is so much better than a GM. But they both have their problems. I'm just going to say that right now. They both have their problems. But when it comes to cars, GM owns the road. Yes, the Mustangs are fast. And they are a good car, but they do not perform as well as the Camaros do. And the performance, the Mustangs, have proven fact, the Mustangs just don't handle the same way. If you watch all the big channels, they'll tell you the steering's a mess. Go into corners, and you just don't feel that confident driving a Mustang as versus a Camaro. But on a strip, Mustangs they're great for a drag strip. You get them on a road course, Camaro's going to kick their ass every day. They all got their problems. That's, and here's the thing, right? Like, here's the frustrating part for me, and I was going to do a video on it, and I still might. Ford is still pumping out V8s, and have said they will pump out V8s as long as they legally can. Where GM has decided, you know what, we don't care about the Camaro anymore. we're going to sell Cadillacs with 668 horsepower instead to compete with BMW and everybody else. Well, that's great. None of us want a Cadillac, or very few of us want a Cadillac. You know, they're putting in, they're pumping in Mustangs with Coyotes in it. You know, yes, they're, I said this earlier in the live that, so the Ford is allocating less V8 trucks to the dealers and trying to push more of the 2.7s and the 3.5s. So they're trying to slow it down, but they're not stopped making V8s. But that's on the truck side. On the car side, you know, Ford has said, hey, we're going to put V8s in the Mustangs till as long as we can. But yet, you know, companies like Stellantis and GM with the Camaro is just like, yep, you know, we're just going to hand the whole market to Ford. And GM has always been last to the market of coming out with something new. And I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard something yet in the sense of what's coming, but you know, Andrew at Camaro Cave and even Scott Settlemeyer said, we're not going to see anything until 2028. Well, I don't want to argue with Scott Settlemeyer because Scott knows way more than I do and had always known more than I do because of his connections. But I would be shocked if they waited till 2 more years, well, maybe even next year, before we hear something new about this car. I thought we would have heard something now, you know, coming up in the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, that they're coming out with something new. And they've always been last. They've been last to the table, you know, since I can remember. But, you know, just handing this whole market to Mustang, it's hard to get those consumers back once they switch brands. Yeah. You know what, Dave? It's not a huge job. It's not a huge job. It's, you know, if you have the resources to pull the motor and pull the accessories and that front timing cover off, it's fairly easy to do. It's not difficult. I don't want to put a time frame on it, but it's not. I mean, if you like, you know, I mean, listen, you have a perfect car. They didn't make, I don't remember the exact number. I'd have to look it up, but they didn't make many of those Synergy green cars. So, you know what? Look after it, right? So, yeah, exactly, Jim. For those of you who don't follow Jim, Jim's got another great channel. I love watching Jim's comical shorts. Jim, put your channel up there, buddy. For those of you who are not familiar with Jim Rage LT1, he is he's pretty good with his comical shorts and his drives to work. I look forward to them. So it does make you wonder, doesn't it, Jim? Yeah, exactly, Gloria. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're done. I will stick by that. I don't think they're done. I think they may have had a plan to make this car go electric, and then once the market kind of switched on them, I think they kind of went, "Oh, okay, well, maybe we should rethink this." But I don't think, you know, as much as I will say that a lot of good people have left GM, there's still a lot of good people there, and the ones that are there are not stupid people. And I just think that the days of the people like Scott and a few others I can't remember on the Corvette side, you know, they would push back on the board to say, okay, you know what, we got to do this or we got to do that. I personally don't think those people are still there. I think the pushing back is a lot less than what it used to be. But I still think we're going to see a internal combustion engine and a hybrid engine, or a hybrid option, sorry, for the upcoming. I do believe that. I don't think it's one of the, it's certainly not all internal combustion, and I don't think it's all going to be hybrid. I think there's going to be a variant of both. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't heard some rumblings by now. But I think they're just watching the market to see what happens with the market. I don't want a 2.4-cylinder electric motors. Yeah, it's not the same. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what goes on with this Challenger, even though I don't think that you'll get the early adopters who are going to buy these new Challengers or Charger. I don't Challengers, Chargers. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But the new whatever they are, Challenger, Charger. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of acceptance you'll get, because you'll get the early adopters who are going to want the first of everything, and that's fine. But how are these going to go? Are they going to be accepted? The way we're seeing things now, I'm going to say no. They're not going to do well until the internal combustion comes out. Jim, throw your link up there, buddy. E-Ray Tech on the new Camaro is my bet. Yeah, I'm right there with you, G7. I think you're probably right. And I think a lot of people would sign up for something like that. I don't know. Do you guys think that that will be the only option, or do you think there'll be a standalone lower option as well? Because I think that this might be the E-Ray Tech might be the higher end option, and then they'll have an internal gas lower trim model as well. Yeah, it's been a very weird couple of years with the car market. And they've been saying for about a year now that it's coming down. And I think we're slowly starting to see it. You're right. But I think people sort of expected it sooner, and it's, things the ebbs and flows of everything need to roll. If you follow guys like Brandon at Car Questions Answered, he goes through the whole cycle with you, right? Like, new cars need to sell so people can bring in their old cars so they can go to the auction. And once those three things happen, then the car prices in general will happen. But right now, there's so much inflated pricing at the new end that people aren't trading in their cars and buying new ones to what we'd seen pre-pandemic, right? So, David says I'd buy one like that. Yeah. G7 says no, I'm in. What, the 5-mile electric range for? Yeah. Influx May 13, 2024, a report from Car and Driver in the middle of last year suggested that V8s could make their way back into the AMG C3 and E63. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, it's not the first time they've tried to do away with, V8 motors and this and that. I mean, it's happened in the past, and it was never accepted well. I think it's a little different this time. The younger generation seem to be more acceptance of a smaller displacement with a turbo than the bigger V8 cars. The V8 cars seem to be and I don't want to I don't want to narrow this down, but it seems like it's for people our generation, and then the I'll say the 30 to 55 crowd, or they seem to be in the V8 market, where you get the younger guys or the younger people who are in their early to mid 20s. They seem to don't mind the small displacement in the trucks and the cars, and so yeah, and you might be right, Jim. It could be a way around to get around the CAF laws. um I haven't really looked into it because I'll be honest, I'm not a big C8 fan. I just not. I'm not a big C8 fan. I've grew up all my life around Corvettes with people who've had them, and not a big C8 fan. I really like the C7, and the rest of them, but I'm not a big fan of the C8s. Um, and that's why that video that I did. Um, I'm going to pull it up real quick here. And just give me a sec, guys. Selfish plug for the channel. If you're new to CCFBG Garage, make sure you hit that thumbs up and subscribe. It really helps me out. And you get to join the rest of these fantastic people who get to listen to me ramble all the time. And we have a pretty awesome group of CCFBG Garage family here with us. And so make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. So where was I? Let's go over here. So the this one. So I'm just going to ruin my stats here and just skip through this video. So I don't know why GM didn't do something like this. I can only subscribe once. That's not true, Jim. I'm subscribed to your channel a couple different accounts. Two actually, but I don't understand why, like the Cadillac's got the twin turbo 3.6, and I think they have a twin turbo 3-liter as well. Now I'm not asking for 50 engine options because that only drives the cost up, but that twin turbo 3, I mean, you think that 3.6 alone, what you can do to that car with mods. Now put 2 turbos on it. Oh my word. I am telling you, that car must be a rocket tuned. But I think the base engine, like I said in this video, that base engine needs to be upgraded from a 2-liter to that 2.7. And I don't understand why you wouldn't. It's basically the same size, right? It doesn't really take up any more room in the car. And you're saving money now because you have that same motor, right, in the trucks and in this car. So it seems like GM's kind of gotten away. They used to do a lot of that back in the day, and it seems like they kind of got away from that in the sense of sharing power plants in different vehicles. Sorry, guys, I'm just getting caught up here. Oh, I guess I am caught up. Okay. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. C7, C8 too small. Yeah. True enough. Blocks free picture. True enough. 6.6 is as a new option. Yeah. All right. I mean, yeah, same block. I guess it would be the same block, right? It's just put the shit board out of it, but I think it's the same. I think it'd be the same, so it should fit. Um, well, I mean, if they can fit 7 liters in there, they can certainly fit that 6.6. So yeah, sorry, what am I saying? I think that whenever this car comes back, they have to do something, and I'm sure they will. Okay, for the record, I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will do something very awesome, but they have to do something to kick ass when this car comes back and let be a true competitor like they used to. And I never did understand why the two cars were so drastic in sales. The only thing I can understand is that roof line is a little higher in the Mustang. And you know what I may do, and I don't know how popular it's going to be on this channel. I may have to do it on the new one, which I don't have it here, but I will put it up here. I may have to go drive a new Mustang. I haven't driven one. I haven't driven in a long time, but I don't understand why the two. If you look at the two roof lines, they're almost identical. But I think the Mustang has got a little bit of a higher roof in it, and it gives you a little bit more visibility. But I don't know. Somebody can answer that and tell me why. I mean, put your comment down below why you think the two cars were so drastic in sales. Is it because of looks? Is it? It's not performance. We know it's not performance. Okay. Is it design and looks? Is is it interior? I would certainly say the 23. I guess 23 was the first year, or maybe it was a 20. Maybe it was 24. So last year Camaro, first year 7-gen Mustang, it was 24. Those two tablets that sit on the dash, and on the lower end trims they separate, but on the higher end trims it's all one seamless panel. And I think you might see that in a GM car, but I don't know what it is when the two roof lines are so alike, and everybody's big complaint is poor visibility. Yeah, you might be right, Jim. You might be right. Negative news travels way faster than positive news does. And, you keep seeing this poor visibility over and over and over and over again. It seems like we've gotten to a point in the car enthusiast world where, people just take it at word and move on. And we need a hype like we had in 2010. And a lot of you can remember those days when those 2010s come out. There was a hype around that car like I have never seen before. Now, they put a lot of money behind it. Granted, they haven't done that for a long time. But if all the planets align, we had a hype around that car like you've never seen before. And we need that again for this car. In that car, we didn't have blind spot monitoring. We didn't, and the 5th gen, the guys who own the 5th gens will tell you that the blind spots in that car are far worse than they are in the 6th gen because it's got bigger shoulders and you don't have all that tech to help you. You got used to it. You didn't just take news off the internet that said, oh, the car sucks because of poor visibility, right? Um, you just went with it. If you liked the car, you went with it. We don't see that today. If people see it reported, the Camaro sales are behind Mustang and Challenger for years. People think something is wrong with the car. Yeah, 100%. The seats are better in the Camaro. Okay. Well, it's funny you say that because I was watching Jay Leno's Garage when they were showing off the Z06. I don't follow Corvettes, guys, so bear with me. But whatever the yellow one was, I think it's Z06. And how much tech and performance goes into that car and what it runs up against and how much cheaper it is versus its competition of a Ferrari and Lamborghini and all that other McLaren and all that other stuff. That kind of goes back to this point, right? Where that Camaro is probably a lot cheaper than an E350. And how is that E3? How is that 3.5? Because I hear a lot of horror stories about that, about the 3.5s in those cars in the E350s. But then I hear guys say the same thing. It's kind of like the Camaros, right? They're kind of hit and miss where guys have like 100, 200,000 miles on them and not a problem, right? And then you hear people say, yeah, well, I got 100,000 miles on my E350 in the motor run. So I guess it's like anything, right? But that's kind of where we're at. It's kind of a weird spot in the car enthusiast world right now where you have no Challenger and I was never I tell you what I like about Challenger is that car had never really changed much from 2009 to 2023, but they managed to keep that car current with small changes. Taillights, headlights, and a few other things, the interior, and that kind of stuff. But they managed to keep it current. And I'm not talking about numbers. I'm just talking about design and how the car looks. And they took the exact same shell and somehow made it current. And yet you have a Camaro who they've changed. They went to a different body. They went from a Gen 6 to a Gen 5 to a Gen 6. And did do well for a bit, but then it struggled to compete against Challenger too. So going from an 84 Monte Carlo SS to a 2011 Camaro SS was a very big change, sitting position and so on. Camaro felt very wide at first. Yes, I guess it would. That 84 Monte Carlo is a great car, but didn't have any shoulders. It had small shoulders, but they didn't impede past the mirrors and very streamlined. Where I remember getting into a pre-production 2010 Camaro and trying to drive it around, and it was like, my Lord, them rear shoulders are going to take some getting used to. Because when you have to adjust the mirrors, according, you guys know what it's like, you have to adjust the mirrors a certain way. And if you don't have them adjusted a certain way, that's mostly all you see is shoulder. And they take a bit and getting used to. That's for sure. 87 Aero Coupe. Yeah, I don't know if they made a lot of Aero. I don't know how many Aero Coupes. Is it an old G7? An old Aero Coupe? Because they made Aero Coupes for a couple different models. But the first one comes to mind is like old Cutlass Aero Coupe. That kind of stuff. I don't think so. I think that the Monte Carlo Aero Coupe. Sorry, I don't think so. I think that car manufacturers will find a way to keep the horsepower there, um, because nobody is buying the EPA standard of going to electric. There's so much pushback on it that I think that I don't think so. I think there will be some massive changes, but I don't think. I think, you know what, I think the 1,000 horsepower Demon 170s. I think those might, those are always been a special breed, but I think that I don't think so. I think overall, you look at the new Mustang. Um, even and I don't remember the Mustang per se. I know it's got dual throttle bodies now, but if you look at the pickup trucks versus, what they were a couple years ago. What's up, Andrew? I think that, the new Ford F-150, sorry, lost my train of thought for a sec. If you look at the new F-150, there's 400 horsepower on the V8s. I think they're over 4 now on the V6s with 500 foot-pounds of torque. So I think overall we're not going to lose that. It's going to. I think the specialty cars are going to remain specialty, but I think we're going to see something similar. Here's another one, another great Camaro content creator, Andrew at the Drive Inside. Andrew, make sure you put your link up, buddy, so anybody who's not subscribed to your channel can follow you. Andrew puts out some great content as well. And I'll admit that I don't spend as much time on Andrew's channel as I should, but I try to, catch what I can, and top-notch stuff. Love his car, phenomenal. It's funny because I thought there's a red SS1LE, it's a 19 because it's got the black front end on it. And you're the first guy I think of every time I see that car, because I think your new one's blue and your old one was that orange or red. And I'm trying to find out what's going on with this car because it's been sitting in this dealer lot for months and months and months, and it's got plates on it. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not really a big fan of the 19, but I can sure wrap my head around this car pretty quick. I don't know, just in certain colors, that 19 front end doesn't look so bad. In other colors, it does. So, yes, it is hard to watch, everybody. But, all right, well, you guys aren't going to do it. I'm going to do it for you. So, we'll put that there. There's Andrews. And all right, what the hell, Jim? Oh, there's Jim's. There's Jim's. Oh, all right. Anyway, so here, I'll put it up again for you. There you go. Free plug. You're waiting in line. What's for dinner tonight, Andrew? Yeah, you know what? I gotta say, you guys are awesome. We it's funny because my wife is on YouTube as well, and she's in a very competitive niche. We we don't really compete. We kind of complement each other. We all have our own views on things, and it's funny because I look to some of these guys on some of the newer stuff. I've been doing this over 2020. Well, the group will be the group in theory will be 25 years. I guess next year, so it's 24 years. It's really been longer than that because before we formed the group and went with our own webpage, and now we are on MSN groups. 99, so it's already been 25 years, but theoretically not yet. But I look at these guys and we kind of complement each other because we have our own our own input and our own things on how we get the info across to you guys, and you guys are awesome supporting all of us. So I want to say thank you to all you guys, and I don't say it enough, and some say I say it too much, but you know what? None of this is possible without you guys. And I don't do this for the money. This is a hobby for me. I put a community post up saying that, like I make, as small creators, I believe it's, as Jim said, as small creators, I believe it's our duty to make sure that we, answer all our comments and acknowledge, all those comments. And I know, and I could speak for these two guys that I know they do, and I try to do it as well. And I can't imagine how difficult it must be when you get into it, when you get into the bigger channels, 100,000 subscribers, how difficult that can be. And I know that there are some people who still work full time and have a channel with 100,000 subscribers. I don't know how they do it because I can barely do it with 1,000, but pardon me. So anyways, that's enough of my rambling. I was just wanted to say thank you. So loved it when Andrew went to Detroit to find his car. Oh, a little mushroom and Swiss. Nice. What's my favorite gen Camaro? Well, that one. I think that I'll just get rid of some of this here for a second. I just want to share this. I want to share you my desktop here. Can I show my desktop? No, I guess I can't. Window, entire screen. No, okay. I would say it's probably toss up between a third gen and a fifth gen. I've owned a lot of third gens. But I was heavily involved when the fifth gen come out, and it's got a special place for me. I can show you guys pictures where, I've had some of them in some of my videos where I've had, like a red pre-production car from GM. I drove a black pre-production. It's funny. I have a picture with a buddy of mine and myself and his as O2SS, and I'm standing in front of a black fifth gen, which was a pre-production car. And then I look back there after I bought my fifth gen and never thought that I'd be buying a black car because I wanted a blue or whatever. And anyways, it's I don't know. I would say fifth gen, but it's a toss up between a fifth and a third. So 1 hour 25 minutes. I think that we're going to be on here a little while longer. I still got some of my Tims left. So now I know Tims are fairly south across the border, but I don't know how deep they've gotten. I think I remember going to a Tims in maybe Pennsylvania, but maybe it might have been New York. I don't remember, but because it's been a while since I've been down to the U.S. But you guys have any Tim Hortons down by you? And what is your go-to for coffee? Is it Dunkin' Donuts? Is it Starbucks? Is it? I mean, here, McDonald's or Tim Hortons and McDonald's really rule the market. They just Tim Hortons is number one. McDonald's is number two. And but I know there's Tim Hortons down in the States, and I've thought I'd read somewhere that they've gotten further south, where before they were just on the bordering states like New York and all that. But I think I remember seeing a Tim Hortons in Ohio, maybe not Pennsylvania, but Ohio, maybe New York for sure. In Columbus, yeah, okay, I thought so. All right, so always wanted to know, what does your channel name mean? Well, my channel name is just is the acronym for my group. And it was funny because when I created the channel, I was like, I don't know what to call it, and I don't really want to call it the club name. I want to give it its own identity. So CCFBG means Camaro Country F-Body Group, which, hold on, let me get rid of the thing here. That's the group name. So we decided to call it CCFBG Garage for a lack of not knowing what else to call it. And I wanted to have its own identity. And my uncle and I have done everything with this logo. If you watch the introduction video or some of the early videos that really suck, and I get it, about the group and where we come from, you'll see how it started and how we came up with our first logo, and then how it transitioned to this logo. And my uncle made this on Photoshop for me. And my uncle's the co-founder of the group. When we had live membership, and we were eventually probably going to do a form of that again, but I never wanted to let go of the club name because, like I said, it was something I created over 20 years ago. And, you know, things happen in life and you got to take steps back and that and whatnot. And so I wish, honestly, I had got into this YouTube thing back in the day when we were doing 5 shows a year, and you know, we were involved with GM, because we would have had some smoking hot content that would have, by today's standards, would have done well. And YouTube just wasn't a thing back in the day. You know, and I was kind of late to the game on the social media thing. We were more doing stuff in person, right? So sorry for the long explanation, but that's where it comes from. D&D is pretty big Wawa down here. D&D is pretty big in Tampa, St. Pete. D&D is a donut shop, I guess. Gloria? I love Florida. I had an uncle that lived in Merritt Island. There's one in Ohio. Yeah, I thought I remember seeing him in Ohio the last time we were down there. I got to tell you, I don't know how many, speaking of Ohio, and I'm kind of going all over the place. So the last time we were in the U.S., I guess was 10 years, or I believe 11, 12 years ago. A bunch of us went down to the Henry Ford Museum. And if you guys have never been to the Henry Ford Museum, I am telling you, man, look it up on YouTube. It is worth spending 3 days there. You can't spend it, you can't do it one day, because there's the inside part for those who haven't been there, and then there's the village part. So you need minimum 2 days. And we were only down for the day. Well, we went down for the day, but we did other stuff. We went and checked other museums in Detroit. And sorry, Gloria. Okay, I got you. The Henry Ford Museum was fantastic. So, yes, in-person interactions. Yes, in-person. YouTube was not a thing like it is today. Um, and I think, the guys like Lethal Garage and the early adopters who bought into YouTube, it paid off for them because there wasn't a lot of content creators in the space today back then. Like Lethal Garage probably would have been one of the few on YouTube covering Camaro content. And I don't remember the early days of YouTube, but it just, for us, it just, it wasn't a thing, right? But I think back to our events and doing the auto show in 2011, and we had the whole floor at the Toronto International Auto Show, and we had to bring in, I forget how, 42 cars, I think, and us and another group, and just shooting all that in the setup from start to finish. That would have been great content. But yeah, we did a lot of a lot of it was shows and stuff, right? So we used social media and to promote the event, but covering it was never even a forethought. Like, so, and a lot of that's my fault because I was kind of driving the ship, and but it wasn't anything that come up even as a suggestion within a group. So that's how things have really changed a lot, right? So, but yeah, I love Florida, man. Um, like I said, I had an uncle that lived in Merritt Island, and I remember standing on the beach by Ron John's, watching the shuttle take off one time. This is back way many years ago. I was still a young man back then, and it was good times for sure. And I haven't been down to Florida. Oh God, it's got to be 30. Well, I guess it'd be 35 years now. So, not to age myself, but exactly right. Uh, I mean, it was the car thing, right? Um, exactly. My memories before the internet are priceless. You got her, 100%. I got the scars to prove it, Andrew. You think about, I don't know about down there, but up here, people get so uppity about, oh, well, the kids are playing road hockey on the street and how much of a convenience it is. And you know what? We don't have kids, first of all. But I will tell you, I would much rather have kids playing road hockey on my street than have them getting into other things that are not good for them or getting into mischief. I would much rather have that. I remember the good times I had as a kid playing road hockey, right? So, hey, Kieran, what's going on? Yeah, you know what? It does appear like the ads are getting worse. And I get it. The ads are what pays for us to do what we do and to enjoy the content we all enjoy, but they do seem to be getting a little excessive. And they're pushing more people into that premium option, where I tried premium for a month and thought, well, you know what, this is pretty good. Like, you don't have to deal with all the ads and all that. And of course, the ads come at some of the most important points in a video, right? Right when you're about to find out what Andrew's having for dinner, or what mod he did, or um, so I do think they are getting a little excessive. You remember looking at Auto Trader Classic and Car Trader magazines before the internet. It's funny, I don't have it in front of me. My father, God rest his soul, used to buy those Car Trader magazines. He was looking for a Stingray. He was looking for a early '70s Stingray that he was going to buy, and so he was buying these Car Trader magazines. And I would go over to see him, and he'd have sticky notes on certain pages, and so it brings back good memories for sure. But that was only, Dad's been gone 2 years, So that was only 3-4 years ago. So um, yeah, and if it's funny because now if you look at I think speaking of ads, going back to ads for a sec, uh, Disney Plus has got an inexpensive or a free version. I know it comes with our cable. There's no charge, but it comes with ads. And I think Netflix just came out with one with a cheaper version now that's got ads in it versus the top end. So, um, and I get, some would say, well, the ads pay for, or the ads are the ones that allow us to make money. And I agree. But I think that, like I was watching Derek Advice Garage last night, and it was like almost a 1 minute video or a 1 minute ad. It was like, what happened to like watching 15 seconds of it hitting next? Right. So if you're into caffeine, they say that biohazard coffee is almost like knocking yourself. What's what biohazard coffee are we referring to? I was wondering what is the best move to Canada? The best place to move, you mean, Blocks? If you're talking about best place to move, it all depends on what you want. I live about 2.5 hours out of Toronto, and it's what my wife and I wanted. We lived in a smaller GTA city north of Toronto, but it was still 2 million people, and we decided to move north. And it depends on what you want. You certainly moving 2.5 hours out of the city, you don't get some of the conveniences that you do here. But certainly, I know during the pandemic there was people that were selling in Toronto and living and moving up here, roughly in the same area where we are, and banking half the money they made on their house. So they would sell in Toronto and make $1.5 million and move up here and buy something for $500,000 and pocket in the rest of that cash. And then it allowed them to rethink. Some of them were at different stages of their life where they can now work part-time or, don't have to commute, right? But they say that overall, I guess the best place would either be in Ontario or out in the East Coast. You have some trade-offs in East Coast versus Ontario, right? But depends on what you want in life. If you want the convenience and all that, then I would say something within a couple hours of Toronto would be fine. We still get, like when you're in Toronto, you get same day Amazon delivery. You don't here. You get, sometimes you barely get next day. You get, could be 2 days. If that doesn't bother you and you want to buy a house cheaper, then that's what you do. Northwest Muscle Cars. What's up, buddy? There is another good channel to check out if you're into watching a lot of good live content. There's the man to check out right there, and he owns an awesome car, the 5th gen Z01. Put your link up there for me if you don't mind. I have a lot of extended family in Canada, St. Gabriel area. I don't know if I know where St. Gabriel is. Where is that? Is that out in the East Coast, Jim? Oh, in Quebec. Okay, gotcha. It's funny because the people in Quebec, not all of them, some of them, have been trying to separate from Canada for many years. They have like their own, and I've never been to Quebec, so I don't know, and I shouldn't really say, but I understand that they have like their own culture out there. And yes, they have their own language. We are a multilingual country. But Quebec is also a great place to live. Housing's affordable. Entertainment is top notch out there. I mean, if you're in Montreal or Quebec, there's great entertainment out there. Sorry, I'll get to that in a second. Yeah, Quebec's another good place to live. Housing is really affordable in Quebec. Not sure why, because of everything that they offer out there. It should be more, but hey, I'm sure they'll take it. Jim says Northwest Muscle Cars also has a famously noisy tripod for live streams. Yes, that's true. Northwest, you need to get yourself some WD-40 because that tripod was pretty painful, but good entertainment at the same time. Because every time you would rotate the, I can't do it on this, but every time you would rotate that tripod, when we were watching a live stream, you going up and down, the cars going up and down the street on that strip, all you hear is, it was funny. You had to be there, but yes, screech, exactly. It was good entertainment, though. I got to tell you, it was good entertainment. So, to be fair to everybody else, I will put in Northwest up here. Oh, come on. Some days, I tell you, I don't know if you guys have this problem, but I feel like technically challenged some days. It's like, and I don't know if it's because of the whole pressure, because I'm, trying to do stuff for you guys, but there he is. Northwest Muscle Cars. There's my baby girl. So I got Rosie with me. Come here, sweetheart. Come see everybody. Hold on, guys. She's been really good. This is why I can only do live streams for so long, because I have her with me. And those of you who remember, I did a video with her in the background. We adopted Rosie. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We adopted her from the local SPCA, which is like the pet pound. And she was 8 weeks old. And she had been abused pretty badly, her and her brothers and sisters. And the people at the pound had said how much work she's going to take because she's pretty shy, but she's not a shy girl anymore. She's done wonders for my wife and I. So, here, let me back up. Don't apologize, buddy. It was, you know what? It was funny as hell, and nobody was upset about it. Jim and I thought it was quite funny because a lot of people, you were so busy. You were so busy trying to, show us all the cars. And we were putting in the chat, like, loosen up the screw a little bit on it. Maybe it won't make so much noise. And you were just carrying on, just providing for us good entertainment. So don't be sorry. It was pretty funny. So Yeah, Andrew, I think we're almost done here. It's good to see you as well. Thanks for popping in and supporting. And absolutely, if you want to do something soon, shoot me an email. My schedule is really hectic for the next week and a bit, but with work. But I'm always into doing something. I'm gonna try, Dave. That was my intention this year. That was my intention this year. I'm moving into a new role at work, which will give me a bit more freedom. So that is my intention. My intention was to get down to Camaro Fest this year, and I don't. It obviously didn't happen. I didn't get my passport. So, but I do want to do something next year. I want to come down and at least try and make it to Camaro Fest or something. One of them. Whether I have a car or not, I still don't have a car yet, but that's no matter. I can bring the truck down or whatever. But I still want to come down and support and hang out with you guys. It's been a while since I've been down to any good shows. So, and you know what? I'm looking forward to it as well. It's you guys have been so awesome to me, and you know some of the people that support the channel. I know them personally, and others like you are great family of the channel that I want to go down and support. So, no, appreciate that, and that's what may have to happen. I may just have to if I don't find something and I'm not really in a rush. I don't know what I want, so. And I don't have a lot of room, so I don't want to buy something for the sense of buying it. So I still don't know what I want. I'm waiting for the right car to kind of appeal to me and speak to me like the last one did. So appreciate that G7. You know, like to put some names to the faces as well. It's kind of what I'd always done. I mean, the first couple of years, I guess the first 4 or 5 years of having my group, I knew everybody's first name in their car. And then when we got to the point where it kind of exploded and we had, you know, once we got north of 200 members, it was pretty hard to get to know everybody because I was, you know, I was around a lot, but you know, we had so many people joining at the tables and stuff, and I'm out doing stuff that you don't get to meet everybody when you do, when you're smaller. And, you know, I was the only one giving out applications at one time. And then by 4 or 5 years in, I had, you know, other team members helping me with the tables and stuff. So, you want that 20s? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Jim. Yeah. 257 grand. Yeah. They can keep it. So, if you're new, if you just popped in and you're lurking, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. 1 hour, 49 minutes. I think we are going to, I was only staying on for an hour because I didn't think we would have, you know, the amount of people we had. So, appreciate everybody staying on with me. I think I'm going to jet. I think Rosie's pretty much had her limit for the evening, but we're gonna work on this. I gotta. You guys weren't on yet, but I gotta move a bunch of this around because I got my Z28 poster covered up now, just because I wanted to show this one off, and I wanted to thank Andrew and Scott for looking after me on that. I finally got it framed, and once I get a better mat for it, I'm gonna put a better mat, but it's kind of an odd size frame, and I don't have a lot of wall space because of the ceilings. But I have to revamp this office because I have a 69 pace car in a frame over there that you guys can't see. And this stuff is not that any of it's less important than the other, but this stuff is the stuff that is, I guess, the most important of it all, including, you know, that right there. And, you know, so my icon license plate, which about only 40 of us have those. But yeah, I need to revamp this office to show off more of, like, I got a Hot Wheels poster there, a six gen Hot Wheels poster. That was another thing I was going to show you guys. That before I go, I noticed this on Auto Trader, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it now. It was a Hot Wheels Camaro, the orange one. It was 18, and they wanted 19,000 for it, and it had, I don't know, 140,000 miles on it. I'm just going to pull this up real quick. And get your opinion on what you guys think of it. It did seem like an awful lot of money for an 18 with 200K on it. Well, 200,000 kilometers, I think is what it was. But it is that it? No, that's not it. That's not it. What's the distance? Stand by here, guys. Just give me a second. I want to show you this car. How far? 250K. Let's change this to year. There it is here. You guys see that? Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay, so 2018. It's got 213,000 kilometers on it, which is about 160,000 miles. 213 kilometers to miles. 132,000 miles. And they want 19,900 for it. And it's a Hot Wheels edition. But it's a LT car. It's a V6 car. But orange on orange. I guess they all have that being a Hot Wheels car. But oh, it's a 17. It's a 50th. What do you guys think of that? It seems a little excessive for 200,000 kilometers or 132,000 miles, but I don't know. Just seemed a little pricey, but it is, like I said, it is a Hot Wheels anniversary car, and not an SS though. So, yeah, 19 Canadian, Jim. Almost 20,000 Canadian. Which is I don't know, 16 grand in US. Something like that. I don't know. It's 38 cents to the dollar. So yeah. So anyways, guys, really appreciate you guys sticking with me for 2 hours. Love you guys. Really appreciate all the support. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We'll be putting out bits and pieces here in the next week or so, but being tied up with work, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be a little tight right now. We are going to get Gloria's subscriber spotlight video out on her 2011 Inferno Orange Camaro, so make sure you check that out. And then Kieran, if you're still here, I'm going to email you, and I'm going to come over to your car probably after I'm done at the end of this week, maybe end of the week after. Maybe we can set something up. So thanks for sticking with me, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Take care.